Okay, so we're going to try something here.
Okay.
We knew you were coming in.
This is a game?
We've studied your work.
Okay. Oh, God.
And so we were gonna try this. You know how earlier
I am a game show contestant by trade.
Okay, so you know how earlier you were saying around the horn's tough to put on?
Yeah.
Well, let's try around the corn on for size.
Wow.
Okay.
Today's contestants. First, we have noted water aficionado Chris Long.
I am honored to be a part of this.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The rules are a little
ESPN
different.
storyteller Clinton Yates.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Real estate agent to the stars, Macon Gunter.
Thank you.
Well,
Appreciate
washed
that.
up stars. All right, so this is cool. We don't get a lot of visitors, although they really do come through in bunches because we had Nate Ebner last week, Olympian, Super Bowl champ. And then I get one of my newer friends in the industry, a dude I really have enjoyed watching on TV, but then I find out has an affinity for Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Clinton Yates.
What's up, gang? Great to be here. I have a lot of friends who are, for whatever reason, in or around Charlottesville. Yeah. And, I get down here whenever I can. So, kind of a different reason to be down here now, but we can talk about that part later.
Yeah, dude. It's good to have you. And I guess I'll just start peppering TV questions at you.
I'm down.
I feel like people at home, myself included, wonder about the mechanics of some of these shows.
Yep.
I've had Mina on here a bunch, and I've asked her before, like, how Tony Reale, calculates his point system. She was like, I can't answer that question.
Yeah.
I don't think it was like it's a secret and I can't give it out. It was like, I really don't know.
I'll say it this way. I've hosted the show, and I give people points for things that make me laugh. That's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? So, sure, there's requisite things you do to sort of keep the timing, but, like, if you got me laughing and you say something I like, sorry, you're winning. Or you're getting more points. So it's not more complicated than that, and I think that a lot of people, it's funny how people are still very obsessed with that. You know what I mean? But I think for me, it's about the characters on the show. Like, winning, losing, it's fun, but I never, like, not very often do I go home like, oh, damn it, I wish I won that day. You know what I'm saying? It's not really actually that serious. And I got a little lucky too, where I won my 100th show on my birthday. And so, like, after that, I was like, that's pretty much about as good as that's going to get for whatever.
And you don't think there's any somebody from on high saying, hey, it's Clinton's birthday, we got to give him
no, there's nobody from on high. There's me saying, hey, it's my birthday. How about we do this? There's no hierarchy of humans that are not otherwise available to communicate with. We're the ones that are talking, so we be talking.
Who's your nemesis on the show?
Probably Kalishaw.
Yeah.
But that's also because, like, we're genuinely friends. So on the show, we mess with each other. A lot of people on the show are my friends, for real. I didn't mean to say that as if he's the only one, but, like, he's sort of the older white guy. I'm a younger black dude. But the reason why we can mess with each other is because we had one of the greater moments, in my opinion, of sports television history in my career, which was the day after the Washington Nationals won the World Series in 2019. It was Halloween. Yeah. And Halloween is a big television holiday. Like, it's arguably the biggest television holiday in terms of one day offs. And so, the costumes it's a whole thing. Like, all year, trust me, we take it seriously. We had a 2-person thing set up. Like, it was going to be me and him in the same studio, which, if you've ever been inside a 1-person shot, this is very difficult. Yeah. I was going to be Lil Nas X, and he was Billy Ray Cyrus. And mind you, this is a while ago. This is like Lil Nas X turning into, the sex symbol of the world. Yeah. This is me wearing a cowboy hat and a plaid shirt.
This is the Old Town Road days.
Correct, literally, and so that remix that came out. So he's sitting behind me, and we're like trying to, it was, in retrospect, to look back on it, I'm like, that was ridiculous.
Billy Ray Cyrus was really good on that song.
Yeah.
I mean, Lil Nas X is the fucking man, but Billy Ray Cyrus brought the heat on that.
It was a perfect combo of things, and we had other ideas, and I had to convince Tim. Tim was like, I don't know, man. And I'm like, bro. So I sent him all the stories and, like, the songs and stuff, and I'll never forget that before we went in, they were like, the Dallas Morning News was trying to do like a behind the scenes thing. And I might be talking out of school here, so sorry, DMN, but this is what really happened. It actually wasn't that bad. And they had all these ideas for, like, some sort of skit that they wanted us to do in costume. And I remember looking at Tim, I was just like, bro, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it wasn't like it was a bad idea. I mean, whatever, but it was a reference to a movie that I kind of didn't even know. And the guy was like, how could you not know that? I'm like, bro.
What movie?
I think it was Spinal Tap. He said a joke from Spinal Tap, and I was
But
like,
that's not like fucking.
I'm like, bro.
That's not mainstream.
And it's also ancient. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so I was just sort of like, how about we just turn on the cameras and let us act?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we'll figure it out, you
Yeah.
know? And they were like, okay. And I was like, so where do you want to go? They're like, oh, there's a photo booth upstairs. I'm like, why didn't you say that? We're definitely going to do that. And so we sort of did this whole bit where we were walking around, and Tim, being a hilarious person of comic timing, he says, oh, it's Halloween, you know, like when people are like, because he's got this big thing on. It was a great dad joke. And
Yeah.
so like, that's why I really like him. But
Yeah, he seems awesome, man. I thought you were gonna say Woody.
Joe Wilson Page, he is a good guy. I'm friends with Woody because I've actually been to Denver to hang out with Woody,
Yeah.
which is always a fun time. And he's one of those dudes that's been in the same town forever and has kind of run the town. So when you're out with him,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, he's like the mayor.
Woody?
Yeah.
Bro, Woody is beyond the mayor.
Yeah.
Woody's Woody. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so everybody knows him. You know?
Who do you think is the most like? Who do you think occupies the toughest desk at ESPN? Like, what do you think the hardest job at ESPN is? It could be
That's
an
a
anchor.
good question.
It could be
Stanford Steve Coughlin.
yeah. Steve's fucking legend, dude.
That's a really good question. I think my natural tendency in this is toward sort of anybody involved with the game day setup, because there's just so much football and there's so many things happening and they're going to so many places. Like I think when I think of like, wow, that's a big production, every single time I watch it, I think of game day. You know, I've been on a bunch of different shows, and don't get me wrong, Around the Horn is not that easy to do. There's 6 voices in your ear. You know, you've got to know what you're saying. It takes skill. But when I think of like, yo, that's the big one. I think of game day, because there's just so many characters. You know, there's a lot going on all the time, and that's tough to wrangle. Never mind actually know the football that you're
and you
talking
have
about.
to know the football,
Right.
and there's a million teams. And like again, Stanford Steve will come on our show every Friday during the fall, and it could be a small school out west, and he's seen them play. Like it could be, you know, UTEP. He knows every player on UTEP. The Bears great on that show as well. But it's and now NIL is making it harder to keep track of
rosters.
Or not NIL, the transfer portal. Harder to keep track of rosters. So like you think you know a team, and then you got to restudy the next year.
And restudy mechanically. You got a guy like Reese Davis, who in his year is like, we're panning over for 8 seconds a shot of the campus.
Yep.
Don't be going in on their 6-2 record. We got to talk about, okay, and now you're out. Now we're back in. Now we got a 4 wide. It's
TV's
a lot.
hard, man. Like I did a little bit of it, and it's just not for me. I mean, like, you know, it's the time is tough. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
And it made me better here because it taught me to be a little more concise.
Right.
But it was challenging.
I gotta
ran
say,
for the hills.
It's not something I started out wanting to do.
Yeah.
You know, I was very self-conscious about like, if I become a TV person, that's going to turn my personality into
gonna
something
change
else.
your
You know, and so I eventually got to it, but that was well after I had done radio for a long time, and that was after I'd been a writer for a long time too. So I was far more confident in my voice in terms of being able to just, I'll chop it down. You know what I mean? That's not that hard. You know what I mean? In terms of some things. It's difficult when you're trying to be, you know, funny or whatever, but you know, if it's just, you know, using your natural personality, it's a much easier thing to do.
Well, radio's become TV.
Yeah. I mean,
You know, like
I guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, the first day when he came in here, and the backstory of how he came in here is one of my best friends, known him for forever, and he came in to watch the podcast. He used to do SID for like it was spotter for
big SID energy here, by the way. That explains
None taken.
But so he knows sports as well as I do, and came in and was like watching me do the show alone.
Right.
And he was like, I think you need somebody to come in here and just laugh at your jokes.
Sure.
Which ironically, he's not a laugher.
I can't laugh out loud.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's one of
my
those.
worst
Okay.
So it
character
fucks
trait.
with your ego as a host of a show.
Right.
You know, like I don't know if you watch Tom Segura at all, but like Tom's, you know, he's got this guy on his show with an epic laugh. And like I'd pay that guy $200,000.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean it like that. The producers are like, well, fuck you. I'll make a laugh. But you know, it just kind of evolved into a thing where we sat next to each other long enough that he became the co-host.
Nice.
But like it's definitely his third day. I think he was like, "Can we talk about the cameras?" He was like, "I didn't know we were doing a fucking TV show in here."
Or did it make you uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Makes me uncomfortable too.
Self-conscious,
honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you've got the seat. See, I know you're comfortable now though, because you've got you're seated. Like you're not just in a chair. Like
He's seated like comfortably.
right. That's what I mean.
We're both
That's
seated
a
comfortably.
watching a movie at home pose. That's not a
exactly. That's a snuggie.
I like that.
What were the blankets? Snuggies.
And it's been about 4 years at this point.
Yeah.
Usually we're on the monitor where you're just seeing yourself now.
Okay.
That takes a little bit of the pressure off.
Oh, sure.
I'm really locked into you guys, being a better listener,
Yeah.
not
All right.
thinking about what I'm about to say. On that front,
Yeah.
what time of day do you get a rundown for topics on Around the Horn, and how much are you writing your stuff? Is it outlined? Are you just trying to have a conversation?
I mean, your conference call first thing in the morning.
6 a.m.
4 or 5 hours later, I mean, on the West Coast, it's early.
Oof.
4 or 5 hours later, you shoot the show. I'm shrugging my shoulders because this is a well-oiled machine that I walked into that I was able to be a part of and learn from. This is not because I'm so cool. That has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Well-run machine, Aaron Solomon, coordinating producer, and Josh Bard, two guys that just do a great fucking job, along with Caroline Willette. There's a lot of people I can name.
Yeah.
They make it so that if you're ready to work and ready to learn and ready to, be creative and be yourself, you can step into that.
Yeah.
It was a very natural fit for me, and that's not to say I haven't grown a lot, because I have, but it was, there were nerves at first, but I've watched the show my whole life. And I also, this is sort of a side story that some people know, like I knew them when I was in college because I bum rushed Tony Kornheiser's studio, and he was like, "All right, kid, whatever, you can come
You
here."
were on
I wasn't.
Kornheiser's head trying
I was
to get,
on Kornheiser's radio show on ESPN
Yeah.
when I was in college.
Really?
And he just introduced me to everybody, and we sort of stayed in touch. Reality used to come on my college radio show, and then lo and behold, 20 odd years later, like legit, I'm on the show. So it was like, that's still kind of surreal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It feels
Absolutely.
like if there was ever going to be a chance to be like a person who does that job for a lot, it would definitely be for that show, because that's half the reason I do this job anyway,
So rank, because you really are on everything. I mean, like I don't mean shows, but like you're on. Like I was going to send you some topics today.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he knows about. You're really wide ranging in what we even talked about at the bar when we first met.
No, thank
like,
you.
With sports, and I kind of wonder, like for you, rank your knowledge and passion for sports based on each individual sport.
It's baseball at the top for sure.
Good.
In terms of interest, in terms of what I cover. I would say soccer and basketball are probably tied at second. But sort of specifically, how do I explain this? I definitely am more connected to the basketball world through like humans who do basketball as much as watching as a fan.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I'm from DC, so I know a lot of guys that were players and coaches and people around programs, SIDs, you know what I'm saying? And sort of like, I'm being funny, but the world of basketball is very much, first world to me. But soccer is a game that I came to because I went to an international school. And so like I was one of the few like actual Americans, like, that had American parents and grandparents that went there.
Yeah.
So everybody was well into soccer, and I didn't even play till I was in high school because I wasn't good enough, and I wasn't even trying to be good, But after a while, they were like, "Bro, like you're pretty quick. Like let's figure this out." And so, that's where we have lifelong friends. But at this stage of my life, and I always have been, much more of a world soccer guy. So it's World Cups, it's continental tournaments. I was a huge club fan, Prem, all that for years, but like, I don't know. There's something that happened to the presentation of club soccer that got like, it got big time blown up when NBC got the contract, and all of a sudden every single game was on every single week. It turned being a fan of that league into something that I don't know that I either wanted or needed the bandwidth for. When Liverpool finally won the Champions League,
Liverpool fan?
I was, that was who I rooted to.
When I paid more
my best friend, one of my best friends was a diehard Liverpool fan since we were kids. So that's who we would watch. This is in the days when you had to go to a pub, somewhere in the burbs that was playing this thing on a satellite.
Yeah.
Setanta, for all of you who know what
Soccer's
that
been
is.
gentrified.
Right, well, that's kind of where it went to. And so when I turn on the TV and they'd be cutting the clips of like, I don't know, like the Leeds super fan club in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm like, whoa, like I don't know
It's not a
this.
hipster thing anymore.
And it's not that pretty much, but it's also like my connection to that game was very much through people sort of from the old countries that they rooted for. And so growing with the American fan base for me has actually been kind of difficult, you know. And I was a DCU fan because we went. That's what we did in high school. You'd go get hammered in Lot 8 and then go in with the Barra Brava. So anyway, my point is that soccer and basketball are tied, but for different reasons. Football is probably after that, but and hockey was there for a while too. But I also like a lot of things. Like I really like softball. I watch a fair amount of lacrosse. You know what I'm saying? I really like volleyball. But like, there's no world in which I would say that like that's even on the level of what I pay attention to those things because I like watching them, and you know about them, and so that's just what it is.
Clinton, Chris plays on an 0-3 softball team.
Hold on,
is that right?
There. Yeah,
is that right?
We'll get there. I had one soccer question before I segued into baseball because it's bad. Soccer question.
Sure.
If you could be on any international team that's having success, like making a World Cup run, all the things considered, fame, if you're
it would definitely be winning a World
single
Cup.
guy. No, but I'm saying if you're a single guy, the money, the endorse, like what country do you want to play?
Oh, that would have to be France. I speak French, so and take a look at the French national team right now. That outsources well to a lot of places. So that's a lead pipe lock for me because I spent time in France. I speak French. That's easy. As a matter of fact, my buddy who is in France right now, he texted me all sorts of pictures about like all the stuff he's getting coming back. You know what I mean? So.
And France has a lot of players from the African continent that like there's been some talk about like, well, how about some of these players stay home and represent countries?
It's an interesting thing, the topic, because FIFA was the first sort of large governing body that decided to open up, like, look, you know what I mean? If you've got a plausible reason that you have any link to this country, you can play. And I actually find that rather refreshing. I wrote about this because in the last Euros, there was a lot of super nationalistic sort of stuff where people were like, that's what Poland looks like. And it's like, bro, have you been to Poland recently? Like, there's a lot of people from around the world who are forced to go to different places. And honestly, like, if you want to go move to a country to play soccer there, I got no effing problem with that.
Money might be a lot better there.
Yeah, like, and I actually think that's an open global market. God forbid that citizenship is like our big hurdle. Like, who actually cares?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a different way to think about it. But when you consider how people are allowed to move around the world anyway, the globalization of the game from a cultural standpoint, to say that a Brazilian can't move to Ukraine and just live there for 3 years and decide to play is ridiculous. There's no real reason
threw
against
people
that.
for a loop in the World Baseball Classic. The guy I was like, at first I was like, yo, there's a white guy in Japan. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, there's a Dutch guy in Japan. What's his last name? And then he was speaking fluent Japanese, and I found out, his mother's Japanese and the whole thing, and he always dreamed of representing that country. And I do think that's cool.
It is very cool to me. And like I said, because of my upbringing, like that's kind of the whole thing. That's kind of why I like world soccer more. It's a little bit more about some level of connectivity to whatever soil it may be, even if it's not, oh my God, my great grandfather lived here. It's just kind of a cool thing in terms of how the world moves about.
So on to the softball, because people are. I
hear there's a lot of demand for this news.
Yeah, so people do we started talking about. Last year I was on a team, and we were okay, not great, and I was okay. I was pretty good. Yeah, I was.
Okay, hold on. I have some questions.
Yeah.
I have some questions about your roster construction.
Yeah.
There. Is this like a former Who's athletes league, or is this just dudes up the farm?
There was
it's
a bar.
An unfortunate mixture.
Yeah. Okay, so I was on a bar team last year.
Okay.
And then at the end of the year, I was like, man, I want to fucking win. Like, I want to like.
So you're there for all the wrong reasons to begin with.
Well. I want to pluck some players that I know can play, and those guys are good. But some of my friends, we wanted to have a green light softball team for content, and because we have access to a couple of former pro athletes. Kyle Long, my brother, was drafted by the White
big
Sox.
Football players in open gym energy right here.
And, guys with the hard fouls. And,
we're playing the team that you were on last year next week.
Oh boy,
9
Hold
p.m.
on.
That's
under the
be
lights.
A big
Hold on,
too.
you hit the portal in your softball league?
Yeah, I did. Bro, is that a code break?
I mean,
not even
anybody
hit
else
the
doing
portal.
that?
I mean,
He hit the portal and then created his own university.
Wow.
think of me like the AFL.
Okay.
All right. He poached his favorite players from that team too.
We haven't had our Jets or Colts moment yet. But think of me as the AFL. We're 0-3 right now. There's some growing pains, and to tell people at home what happened last night. I mean, I felt good. We started out up 2-0. We were great in the field, and all of a sudden these guys had a 10-run inning and found ourselves down 10-2. We came back. We were down 12-10. First we were down 11-10, and the right fielder, who I'm not going to say his name,
Never played baseball before.
I did not know that.
How do you
never played
but
is it Anthony again?
How do you get a guy that's never played before? I don't get that.
Well, he did. He came back and launched the deepest ball hit all night and hit the fence. He just swung.
You guys got to get your scouting
athletic
department
dude.
together.
The scouting department is the problem because this guy, it was a ground ball.
That's crazy.
Between first and second, this guy's charging in there to pick it up and hit the cutoff man. Gets behind him. There's an inside the park home run.
There's some weird
12-10.
bumps in the field.
Okay,
That's what it was. That's what
all
we're
right.
talking
So
about
it wasn't
too.
the craziest thing in the world.
But not the
Like
craziest.
the Super Bowl.
10-run
That can't
inning.
happen,
Playing
though.
surface.
A 10-run inning is not really a crooked number because you got the 1, and then the 0 is a sphere.
That's right. Is that supposed to make me feel better?
Yeah. No.
There were a number of errors in that inning that we could have kept it to like
So,
4 or 5.
anyways,
What position are you playing?
Hand up. I'm playing second base.
You're playing second
The
base.
thought process
Rather
there
large
is
second
my
baseman.
right shoulder is shredded. Last year, I'm out there in the
You
outfield.
throw right,
I'm
and your right
throwing
shoulder.
the ball. Yeah.
You're a right throw.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm throwing the ball, and by the second game, it's just my shoulder's gone. So this year, I'm like, what's the one position that I can't get hitting the balls too hard? Okay, third base is out. Obviously, pitcher's out
How are you not playing first base?
because you can get hitting the balls there.
Bro,
and we've
you
got
guys
an
are
I played
all
first
league
base
first
in
baseman.
high school. We have
Okay.
a really good first baseman.
I feel like if your first baseman is that good though, and you aren't, maybe you should put your first baseman somewhere else.
No, well,
Like you know what I'm
the
saying?
first baseman
John-
should be in the outfield.
What we're going to do moving forward, John stays at third because he was exceptional at third. John Phillips, former NFL player,
Sure.
he was a first baseman. Kyle's going to move to first
Good.
because Kyle doesn't want to
Okay.
run. He doesn't want
NFL guys in the
lefty.
infield.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean,
And I've been good at second
so
base.
you've been
Like,
great.
yeah.
Here's the most important question that I used to coach high school baseball. This is the kind of stuff that I care about.
Yeah.
Do you guys get it around after outs on the infield?
We should.
Oh,
We should do it more.
Sorry,
We've done it
come
a
on,
couple
guys.
times,
Come on, guys.
but-
You're not.
he's a baseball guy
You're
'cause you
not.
said Bush League.
You're not running it out. You have to get it around after outs on the infield. That's the mark of a team that's paying attention.
I also feel like
Come on.
that's there's time limits in the game.
Does anybody in the league do it?
I haven't seen
No.
anybody. do
I haven't seen it.
No,
That
it's
would
right back to the
differentiate us.
pitcher.
People
next
might think
pitch.
we're being hardos though too.
I mean,
Yeah, we
you're the
are.
one with breakaway leagues. You are being hardos. Last I checked.
And I want to hand up here in the last inning. We went 2, 3, 4, and so we felt like we could close that gap no problem. Me and John Phillips popped out, and so like we ended up loading the bases to finish the game. The 5 or 6 hitter got the bases loaded, 2 outs, and he popped out as well. So we had ducks on the pond.
After some chirpiness,
After
there was a little.
a big thing about we needed a pinch runner for the guy that was up at bat. The guy runs off to get his bat. We exchanged the pinch runner.
So we're going aluminum here. Are we going to go metal?
No,
No.
Okay,
wood.
wood. Okay, thank God.
No,
All right.
the guy pitching, who's a fine gentleman. I mean, I've run into him a couple times on the diamond, but he was chirping and he's just yelling about you guys lost. It's technicality. You're not supposed to, come
And
off.
the best part, Kevin Back, he has 2 bats. He's warming up. He's like this, and he's like, "Oh, is that how you want to win? Oh, really?
Yeah, no, that's the
Chicago's
question.
best.
Doing the
That's the
Parkman
question.
deal. Yeah.
So it got a little bit heated, but we lost. We're 0-3. We'll be back next week playing.
We have the least point differential in the league.
We've lost.
Oh, yeah.
12
Probably in the
Put
history
that in the
of the
headline.
league.
When
In the
people-
history.
4 runs,
Yeah,
minus
exactly.
4.
We're one of those teams that we're like the Lions before they figured
Exactly.
out how to win.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're the Lions through week 4 or 5
Okay.
Yeah,
last
exactly.
season.
Now, last question about this league. What level of hardo are the umpires on? That's always
They're
an
not on
interesting
10.
you not
on 10.
Because you
only-
never know. Some places, people are just you get umps that just really
They're pretty chill.
ain't about it. Okay,
They're
good.
pretty
This
chill.
one last night let us play through the technicality.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
How did you
yeah.
actually interface?
No.
with Blue
Yeah,
on
no,
that?
he was like, keep going, no problem.
After a
he
little
actually
discussion.
runs out from home plate to check the outs and stuff.
Okay.
Also, Dr. Fax, who's been hitting the cover off the baseball, grounded into a double play. Okay, and he was not happy about.
He wasn't happy. He was though. We'll give him some props because the pitcher, like in the middle, the ball's in the air coming to the batter. He always say, "Oh, got him."
Yeah.
He does that to Fax. Ball's in midair. Fax bombs one. to the outfield.
No, it was great.
Launched it.
He's growing up before our eyes.
He really is.
Okay, so the baseball fan you are, I wanted to ask.
Let's talk about the time I ran into you, by the way.
In Philly.
In Philly.
The fucking game, dude.
That was
right
nuts.
after we ran into each other in Charlottesville.
Right.
I got my hood on.
He's looking like he looks. Yeah, I was like, it was weird too because I was like, I don't because
since you're Chris
Long.
I sort of like I know what it's like to be in a ballpark and not listen. I'm not Chris Long, but like you're
probably more.
People come up to you in ballparks and say stuff, and sometimes you just don't have the space to do it. Like if you're working, because you're going one place or another. And I was like, "There's no way that's not Chris." And
we ran into each other in the gift shop.
Know what I mean? I turned around. I was just like, "Chris," and he turns and looks. And he was like, I was like, and he just like comes out of his whole thing, and I was like, "Wow."
I was incognito, man, because in Philly I'm liked, I guess, and I do run into a lot of people, so I wanted to enjoy the game, but it was good to see you. You're like the only person I ran into that
you actually wanted to see.
Let me tell you my baseball futures real quick before I got a little game to play with you.
All right,
to finish this bad boy off, and you tell me if I'm going to lose my money or not.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, so here's another thing about me. So we were talking. If we have some time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going anywhere for a while. So there are some things that at this stage of my life, as a sports writer and as a sports fan, I'm not adding a ton of new stuff. I don't gamble and never have gambled. So like the parlance of bet stuff to me I'm not dissing it. I will answer your questions, but
you just tell me if these teams are going to be good.
Okay. The difference between futures, like I don't know.
You
know what I'm saying? I can read them. I can understand them relative to one another on a chart. But like for the most parts, they don't really mean anything to me in the abstract. So
I took the Cardinals win total over. Okay. It's at like 88.5.
It's not bad.
Having played in St. Louis and avoided becoming a Cardinals fanboy, but still appreciating the product, I think I'll enjoy that one.
The fun story I'll tell you about the Cardinals is this kid named Jordan Walker, who is a hoss of a kid. Beast. They just called him up, and he's DHing as a rookie. So, he is a larger human being than you are. Easily. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's saying a lot, because Easy Pop, he's the person to watch for on that team. Yeah.
Okay.
He's been in their system. I remember when he got picked, he got picked, and he's been in their system for a while. And, dude, I remember. So here's the thing about baseball is that it is the most multi-sized sport of any.
That's interesting.
By a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so when you see somebody that's genuinely huge, it's like, whoa.
And then you see Altuve.
You're like, wow, this guy's big. Like, how did he get through the door kind of thing?
Yeah.
He's that big and he's got pop.
Judge, too. Big ass dude.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I took the Mariners for smaller the over 87.5, but they started slow.
Yeah. The Mariners are a fun story. I don't know how easy it's going to be for them to repeat last year. Let's not forget that they got into the playoffs on a miracle of a play. If you have not seen that, Cal Raleigh, the Cal clincher.
That was beautiful.
Shout out to my man Dave Sims on that broadcast. Hey now. We love Dave. So they were a fun story last year. I think they've got the stuff to hang around, but they also lost to the Stros in the playoffs last year. You never really know when you're a young team and you lose to the eventual World Series champion, like where you are. So it's not a terrible pick.
Okay, not terrible. Mets, I got the over.
I have no faith in the Mets at any time in my life forever. Sorry. I mean, what are we doing?
And right after I placed the future, corporate Scott, one of our producers, was like, well, he's the CEO. He told us last week. But he's a big baseball guy, and he's like, if the pitchers stay healthy,
they never do.
That's the name of the game. And I drive home and get an ESPN fucking alert that Verlander's already got a sore arm
again. I mean, I don't really believe in hocus pocus, but I do believe in roster construction and smart signings, and the Mets just haven't done it for a really long time.
Okay, so I got the Red Sox under big. That number 78.5.
Where do you have my West Coast teams, bro?
Okay, so I got your Mariners. Okay, and I threw in a little Canada as well with the Jays over.
The Jays are a nice little squad. They've got all the legacy kids, and Simeon's doing well. That team needs to take a step this year. If the Jays do not get farther than sort of they did last year, or just in general don't have a quasi-deep run, something has gone wrong.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in terms of putting the team together, but somebody will have to get hurt because their talent and their sort of core base is good enough that they should be a team in contention for sure in the AL, in my opinion.
Best ballpark to visit
in the big leagues. I'm a little biased here because I was just kind of there and I was there for a long time. But as a T-Mobile now in Seattle, that park is glorious.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And people sort of forget that, I don't know, there's this sort of mythical love of the kind of old crappy nature of certain things. Sorry guys, I hate Fenway Park.
I have it in football. I have that affliction in football.
It's the weirdest part. I don't like this, and I get it.
Yeah.
It's a cathedral and all this kind of stuff, but that's not how I sort of like to watch baseball, where I've got quasi-constructed seats, obstructed seats, and I got to shimmy past what feels like a subway car in the 1900s. No.
Yeah.
Seattle is it's a palace. You know what I'm saying? In many ways, they got great food.
Yeah.
You got the outdoor option. It's great. It's a good one.
I've been to the San Francisco ballpark. I thought that was beautiful.
I've not been there yet, which is crazy, but I need to be going. I need to go. The thing is too, I get to a lot of college games, I get to a lot of minor league games. Yeah. So big league ballparks aren't even necessarily all on the top.
Right, exactly.
I like.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna try something here.
Okay.
We knew you were coming in.
This is a game?
We've studied your work.
Okay. Oh God.
And so we were gonna try this. You know how earlier
I am a game show contestant by trade.
Okay. So you know how earlier you were saying around the horn's tough to put on?
Yeah.
Well, let's try around the corn on for size.
Wow.
Okay.
Today's contestants. First, we have noted water aficionado Chris Long.
I am honored to be a part of this. Okay.
The rules are a little
ESPN
different.
Storyteller Clinton Yates.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Real estate agent to the stars, Macon Gunter.
Thank you.
Well,
Appreciate
washed
that.
up stars.
Several.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is great.
We're going to play an original game that we came up with.
The corn reveal. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Please cut me a gif of that.
Yeah, you got
whenever
it.
that happens.
You got it.
We workshopped a lot of words that rhyme with horn.
Yeah.
We settled on corn.
We were gonna do
Who was tasked with getting the corn?
these guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was gonna do. Hey, they were all different types of ways of saying buy or sell. There was,
this is great.
bushel or blight or whatever it was. Or
We're definitely in Virginia, kids.
So we're gonna stick with buy or sell.
Okay.
But the rules are.
They're going to be a little bit loose, but we're going to all direct.
I'm not going to derail the game any further.
Yep. And then just buy or sell. We'll give you about 30 seconds on the clock. But
wow, you want actual takes? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. So first up, this year's NCAA title game was the least watched on record. This prompted internet personality Will Compton to call men's college basketball, quote, the most overrated sport. Are you buying Will Compton's claim that men's college hoops is overrated? Macon.
No, I'm not. I'm selling. Will Compton is an idiot. And the NCAA tournament never disappoints. If you want to see 4 blue bloods, all right. We just saw 3 teams that had never made a Final Four and who is now being crowned a blue blood in UConn. And 3 teams had a shot to knock them off the block, and they couldn't do it. And UConn's dominance in that tournament, that's not a bad team. That's not a bad thing. We saw that club roll through some dudes. Sonogo, etc. But NCAA tournament's best sporting event we have. All right, in this world, period.
First of all, UConn has been a blue blood, in my personal opinion.
Sure.
And I would also say that no, it's not not because of this year is it overrated. Men's college basketball has long been correctly rated as not that great in my household. That's just kind of where I am on that. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It's just that, the regular season, the tournament is all it is. And I don't actually think that that's very good for what the sport is overall. And so, you get to the tournament. I actually think that there are certain things about it this year because of how the teams are stratified that have improved. Transfer portal, NIL means that the lower seeded teams, these are not your father's number ones. Yeah. And that kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. But it's moving upward slowly. It's not like it's dropped. The precipitous drop for me happened years ago.
Yeah, for me, Will Compton is right in some ways in that it's overrated, but as a spectacle, it is not overrated. And that's what makes it great. I think he cited FAU as a team that got lucky and backed into the tournament, which shows you he's not watching a lot of college basketball because they had 4 losses.
Top 25 team. They had less than a handful of losses. Yeah, they were great.
Now the ratings are down over the last couple of years. You can chalk that up to a lot of different stuff. You definitely would like some more blue bloods mixed in there. I want my most of my upsets to happen the first weekend or two, and then you clear the dance floor for maybe one Loyola and some Blue Bloods. Where he's right is that it's not a high quality game being played out there.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that for a basketball junkie, Will Compton's take might appeal. But I think he's dead wrong. And I somewhere short of an idiot, but he's dead wrong.
Yeah. I think, is there a conversation allowed on Around the Corn?
Go ahead.
We call this a spin in the business. This is not even joking.
The quality of play not being a 10 out of 10, I think, is part of the appeal.
It's the spectacle.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so
I mean, we had a guard throw the ball up as high as he could.
This is a side
to
feeling.
midcourt.
So, as somebody that likes better basketball, better than I like better football, this is why I don't like college basketball, but it is why I like college football. Like the chaos in college football of it not being as predictable.
Michigan State blocked punt.
Kickers. That's why I like college football, because I actually like football less. But for basketball, just because I like that
Did
sport
you see
more.
how the Virginia Furman game ended?
Yeah, and that's our team. But
Yeah.
I can acknowledge the greatness in that chaos. And kicking game in college football is akin to the free throws
Pretty much
in college basketball. I mean, the chaos out there is great. And
FDU tried parking the bus in front of Zach Edey, and it worked.
Yeah.
40 minutes.
How many
Worked.
different ways can you play football? Not too many different ways. You can play basketball a ton of different ways.
Yep.
And when you look at like teams in say the Big Ten, like Purdue, and we made this point a couple shows ago, they're not seeing Big East variability in styles of play, and they're not seeing the defenses that they're seeing in the Big East and that sort of thing. And that's why you get this awesome combustible product come March that you don't get in college football.
Yeah, and this is the last thing because I know we got to move on. I still think at this point, the women's college basketball game is just a more exciting product, top to bottom, than the men's. And that's
And relatively speaking, it showed out in the ratings.
Yeah, I mean, and that's real. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not some big diss to anybody, but I know who's playing in the college basketball ranks in the women's side. I can name these people if they walk down the street. I know who they were. That's not the case in men's college basketball.
Let's stick with that and start with Clinton. Clinton, are you buying or selling Jill Biden's invitation to the Iowa women's basketball team to the White House?
So for those of you who don't know, I'm from the capital of the United States of America, Washington, D.C. I've been to the White House on many occasions. I've also been there for these trophy ceremonies. Massive sell on this. I mean, Jill, this is just a mistake. I could get into all the meanings of what happens when we get into the concept of white tears and this, that, and the third. I think everybody understands that, though. Jill, it's not a smart way to go about something. And I think what Angel had to say is it wouldn't have happened the other way around.
Right.
We know enough about race relations in this country and how we deal with each other, understand what that is. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you want to change the rules because Caitlyn isn't going to come there? Come on, man. You know what I mean? That's not even cool, even if you're Caitlyn. I saw a great tweet, by the way, that said, what would you rather do? Show up to the White House with the opponent of the people you lost the championship to, or show up to the White House if you won and be forced to eat McDonald's?
Probably eat McDonald's. Because there's nothing more uncomfortable with them being somewhere and knowing you're not supposed to be there.
That's true.
And most people resenting you and hating it for it. So I think that Jill did step in it, and she stepped in it to win Iowa. Okay. And that's we talked about this a little bit the other day. Iowa's a swing state. She wants to step in it at the cost of alienate. Well, she might have alienated everybody because in Iowa they don't like participation trophies. They've made that very clear. So she might have stepped in it and alienated the entire base. She alienated everybody that was pro Angel Reese. She alienated.
Kind of embarrassed everybody in Iowa.
Yeah. So I think she stepped in it in multiple ways.
I don't like that Kim Mulkey. I'm not.
That might be one where that might be a 10-pointer if I was hosting it.
Yeah, I don't care for her at all. Dr. Jill Biden, by the way, respectfully, too.
No, not bad.
Yeah, she step in it? Yeah, she stepped in it.
Yeah.
Do you ever get nervous on Around the Horn when somebody says the thing you're going to say?
You're not getting points for that.
Because you're exactly right. Angel Reese said it. It wouldn't have happened the other way around. That's the end of the story.
So I'll tell you this. quick sidebar, another spin, but this is unrelated. Anything that is ATH related does not count to my points. So I have a very strict rule when I host, which is if you say somebody else made a great point, that other person is getting the points.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're
award my points to Clinton
because it happens all the time, and we sort of act like it's just like, I'm agreeing. Like, all right, well, if that's the case, they can get it.
I like
Woody
it.
got banged for that a bunch last time he was on. He was throwing out assists all over the place. So. Yeah, that's my
funny.
rule.
They are big fans of Around the Corn in Iowa, though.
We are killing it in that demo.
Yeah.
They didn't like my take on Angel Reese's quote-unquote taunting, but hey, here's an olive branch.
There it is.
All
There
right,
it is.
Macon, the Cardinals announced today that they will be changing their uniform design and will display the new uniforms at the end of the month. Are you buying the Cardinals as the NFL team most in need of a jersey redesign?
First and foremost, I'm unprepared for this question. And therefore my answer is yes. There's piping, there's paneling. Those two things belong, as we'll talk to with Steve Keim, in the Mid-American Conference. This is the NFL. It's the biggest stage. Piping, paneling, especially when your quarterback ain't so high, you're not doing them any favors. Yes, the Cardinals needed a refresh. In the worst of ways. Who else needs one?
Clinton, your
I'll
turn.
go. I think the Cardinals have been in between a couple looks for a little too long here. So whatever you do, give me. Okay, so here we go. This is what they have.
I should have mentioned Rod Tidwell.
I hate that movie. Anyway, I don't mind the Cardinals. They've gone through a couple different iterations of this. So, for example, the black. Go back. Hold on. Scroll over to the picture of Kyler in the all black. That's their best look. And maybe not the helmet combo, but that jersey and the piping versus paneling ratio is the actual best there. If they did that with the other color combos, they'd have a cool look. I don't think they need a whole rebrand. They just need to tweak what's already on the palette, which is like the case for a lot of NFL teams. But I do like the black helmet. I think there's a lot of teams that could use. I'm trying to think who could use a rebrand right now. I mean,
I'm actually going to answer the question, guys,
Chris?
and probably so. It's been 17 years. It's time for them to grow up. I mean, it's been a long time with this one uniform, and I'm asking them to step out onto a ledge here because the feast or famine nature of incorporating gray is hard to overstate. But when the right balance is struck and there is gray in the cardinal, the bird, you can hit it out of the ballpark. I would ask them to incorporate a little bit of gray, maybe the state flag. A la Pat Tillman.
Yeah.
It's a cool looking state flag. The Atlanta Falcons are in the most need of a rebrand. They look like court jesters. Matt Ryan looked ridiculous at the rollout. When you look bad at the rollout, it's a bad sign when it comes to the viability of a uniform. I think the Cardinals are in need of an upgrade, but so are the Atlanta Falcons.
okay.
Stick with the NFL.
Hey, hold on, player. The Miami Dolphins need to go back to the Merinos.
Oh, come on.
The font doesn't work. The font
I don't
doesn't
understand
work.
this. Their
Bad
look
font.
now is not that different from it's I get it. Like it's not big and boxy.
Devil's
but like,
in the details.
the Dolphins look great. Like they look
Dolphins look
slick.
good.
I don't know how you could have a problem
They
with
look
that.
fine.
The logo. It's a bad logo. They screwed up the logo.
What, you want the Ace Ventura?
Absolutely.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Give me built for speed, not for power. Whatever that new Dolphins name is, that thing is slick. That thing looks like it gets great mileage. You know what I mean? If you bought that car,
Efficient.
the thing, it's very
Yeah.
efficient.
Dan Marino here. Big sacks.
This
Look
is
at that. Look at that.
this is so. Oh my goodness!
All right.
You want drop shadows next too? Anyway.
Starting with Chris. The 4 eligible teams for Hard Knocks next season are the Jets, the Commanders, the Saints, and the Bears. Are you buying the Jets as the most interesting option?
Listen, the Commanders is a highly combustible situation. The Saints, you're going to get a lot of dishing on maybe Vegas via Derek Carr, so that could be interesting. The Bears, it doesn't do it for me. I'm rooting for the Bears. I don't want them to have Hard Knocks. The Jets, it's a slam dunk. Just make the layup. Close the deal on Aaron Rodgers and start the show with him fumbling for his light in the dorm room and Liv Schreiber talking about, it's not a darkness retreat this time. It is Jets training camp. That's the gold standard. Do that.
Why aren't you writing television shows? What are we doing here?
Yeah,
A lot of prep
exactly.
time.
That was great.
Seems like.
Yeah.
Who's up?
Macon.
No thanks. Aaron Rodgers fatigue, should that happen.
Okay.
Give me the Commanders, the worst run organization for a long while. I'd like to see behind the scenes there. Oh, one day we're in Ashburn. The next day we're in Raljan, Maryland, or also called Hyattsville, Maryland, sometimes called Landover, Maryland. Yeah, it's oh, look at this groundskeeper. He does it.
Shit that just came out of the
only
pipe.
does it part time. That's why the field is so bad. Like, give me a peek behind that curtain.
Okay, this is talk about slam dunks. This is the Commanders by 30 nautical miles to me.
See?
I'm from that town. I stopped rooting for that team, and when I stopped rooting for that team, I kind of stopped liking football as much.
Yeah.
When Sean Taylor passed, it was one of those things that changed sort of my life about what I thought football meant to me. And then there was no real avoiding, like, this guy's the worst owner in the history, in sports. You know what I mean? And like, between the racist name and between everything having to do with how they abused fan bases, like, there's actually something interesting here beyond just total suckitude, because the team might get sold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It'd be a very different look at the locker room in terms of what's actually happening. I mean, do I think it can handle it responsibly? Probably not.
But who produces Hard Knocks?
HBO.
There's no affiliation with the NFL. The NFL might say, hey, this ownership stuff's messy.
Okay.
We're not gonna have you
That's
in there.
fair, but at the same time, again, Ashburnistan, disaster. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would still be a relatively good show. I mean, and there's no way that you could avoid the conversation around that, because Rivera's also in kind of a weird spot.
Yeah.
Coach on the hot seat is
The
always
enemy.
The enemy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it actually would be interesting. I think.
would
Jake
be.
Fromm is in the building.
All right. The NBA and the Players Association agreed on a new 7-year collective bargaining agreement. Among the changes is a new rule requiring players to play 65 games to be eligible for NBA awards. Starting with Clinton, are you buying this change?
This is a no-brainer to me, outside of shortening the season, which is another thing that's obviously never going to happen, but actually probably could use some thought because of, long story short, by the time guys get to the NBA now, they've played so much basketball that by the time they're playing as pros, it's just not possible for them to make it through an 82-game season. But that said, yeah, if you're going to be handing out awards and guys are playing half the games, it just doesn't really make sense to me. I don't even know that it has to be for the sake of incentivizing the awards as much as just like the basic math of the competition. You know what I mean? Like, if you didn't play that many games, I'm not voting for you. It just that seems sort of self-regulate. That should self-regulate on its own, but making it the reason why making it a limit matters is because guys then won't, if they're not eligible for awards, then they can't get to their escalator contract. So there is like
It's
reasonable
incentivization.
Yeah, there's a reasonable incentivization there. But I mean, to me, that's how I look at those awards anyway. Just sort of in my mind. Not that I vote, but where I be voting, I mean, as I vote with my mind, it's like, well, you only played 2/3 of the game versus a guy that played 4/5. Like, sorry, he's getting the nod.
Yep. Who's
Chris?
up? Oh, I'm up. I think it's an insanely dumb rule. In 2020, LeBron would have won the MVP if this was in place.
Okay.
This alters his legacy. How are we going to stack legacies against each other? Only 5 players have ever played less than 65 games and won the MVP, sure, but Bill Russell, one of his earliest MVP runs, he played in the 50s or the low 60s. Okay.
Cue the JJ Redick. We got Carpenters and Fishermen at that point in the league.
But I do think when you start tying it to people's escalators and their incentives, there's a negative side to that too. And on from a standpoint of, you could have a very clear NBA MVP that might have dealt with an injury and he's not load managing, and that could throw a wrench into the integrity of that award.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I thought they both made excellent points. I have no opinion on this matter.
This is where the points go down to the basement.
Why don't you just do the Draymond thing and just call everybody that makes the All-NBA team bums going forward?
Yeah. Hey, if you want to play 17 games and try to win yourself an award, go for it. leave it up to the voters.
I think you came out
Macon,
even
starting
there.
with you. Rumors of Travis Kelce dating Megan Thee Stallion have the internet aflutter. Are you buying or selling them as a couple?
What are you Googling?
Megan
You don't
Thee
know what
Stallion.
she looks like?
You don't
world are
watch
you-
baseball then.
What world are you living in, buddy?
You don't watch baseball.
Okay.
I thought she did great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm kind of like a love is love guy, Matt. Who am I to judge anybody
Yates.
else?
Let me offer you the backstory on this, which is that let's just say that Travis has had cookout invites for a long time.
For a while.
For a long time.
Yeah.
And they are not given out by dudes.
No.
Okay? This is what I'm saying. So
No.
this is completely within his wheelhouse.
I don't know what that means.
It means that.
The black women enjoy his company.
Got it.
And so this was not like some wacky combo of people by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it actually plays.
You know, it plays, and that's not a knock on anybody. That was just like, oh, okay. And one of my buddies texted me. He said, "Listen, bro, I don't care what you got going on. If you are in the best physical shape of your life as a Super Bowl champion and you can't even take a swing at that, and you can't even take a swing, what are you doing it for?" You know what I'm saying? Which is an interesting point. But yeah, man, you know, Travis is a cool dude. You know, I've met him a couple times.
Yeah,
He's a good guy.
cool.
Yeah.
I am buying. Maybe if it were Jason Kelce for the reasons that Clinton outlined, it would be a sell. Also, an interesting study on how those two became so different.
Yeah.
But I'm absolutely buying. I'm glad that somebody's taking a swing at Megan Thee Stallion.
She's the best.
It was just a little bit outside on opening night, but I thought she did a great job. And the home whites, it was a great look.
Great look. Excellent look.
I'm not prepared to give an answer. Her real name is cooler than Megan Thee Stallion. Her government name?
What are we doing here?
Megan Javon Ruth Pete.
Oh, that's kind of tight. You got 4 names.
She got 4 names.
Yeah.
Why are there 2 E's on the the? I don't understand the name.
It's like the.
She's differentiating herself.
How long do you think this segment's going to be?
Move on.
I get the feeling that you've not gotten as many cookout invites as Travis Kelce has from the sisters. But.
There was one night in Fort Lauderdale, though.
Okay, you know what? I don't need to know about that.
I'll tell you another time.
All right, starting with Clinton.
Yes.
An image of a patron at a baseball game enjoying a shrimp platter has gone viral. Are you buying eating shrimp at the ballpark?
Let's see. I need
you want to eye the shrimp up.
I need to see the setup.
Yeah.
It depends on, there's a lot of factors here. Depends on where in the ballpark they're sitting. Depends on what city in America they're in. If I'm in a luxury box in Seattle, sure, I'll enjoy some shrimp. Absolutely. Probably even in LA or San Diego as well. Now, if I'm down in Texas and I'm sitting in row B, you know what I'm saying, and the roof is closed, no, probably not. You know what I mean?
I am a proponent of all seafood being eaten anywhere. I'm not. I'll eat airport
You're not weird
sushi.
About it. Yeah.
You know,
Me
because at an airport, it just came off the sushi plane.
It came off the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be as fresh as you can
it's got to get to the 5-star. You know, like in St. Louis, there was a place where in Clayton, Missouri, where all the ball players ate, but that's got to get off the plane and then go to Clayton.
All the way there. Yeah.
And I feel the same way about shrimp. Shrimp is one of those seafood dishes that you feel the safest about. I don't know if other people share that sentiment, but I do, and I think a ballpark is a great place. You don't want to stink up your glove.
No.
That's the only thing. So if you bring a glove to the ballpark, you want to wash your hands before you put your hands back in the mitt.
This is okay. Presumably, this is a regular seat. This is kind of dicey just on the carry back to the chair alone. You know what I mean? You got to cover that bad boy with another plate because you could lose those things. It gets a little dicey. Next thing you know, you lose 3 of the cocktail shrimp. It's at that point, it's just a snack.
You make a good point. I don't know what Macon's going to say.
At some point in the show, a person gets eliminated, yeah?
Yeah, this is that moment
I think
for
we've
you.
reached that point.
Yeah.
Happy trails.
Oh, yeah, me.
Wow. The PTI shout-out, shifting down shows. That was good.
How many points did I receive?
You had 11 points.
Okay, and the other 2?
Currently, I believe Chris has 19.
Wow.
And Clinton has 19.
Wow.
And only a couple questions left that you get to miss if you so choose.
Yeah, you guys are doing great.
Yeah.
No,
we can cut it out. We can go to Showdown as is known.
Okay, go ahead. Next.
Showdown.
Next.
Do you agree that Charlottesville is an elite college campus?
First of all, this is tough because I'm here and I want to actually come back. Let's just say yes, but it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Is probably the easiest way I put it. First of all, the whole grounds thing is very annoying. Like nothing personal, but like
none taken.
Being corrected about it is like, oh my goodness, are you serious with this?
Correct me too.
You know, it's like it's the campus. I get it, but I don't go here. So sorry, please. I'd rather not go through that every single time. But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But also there's the element of hello. This is the University of Virginia. There were statues to people that didn't like my people here for a long time.
Still statues.
It's awkward. Yes, this is what I'm saying.
Thomas
and so
Jefferson.
like that is a very real element to what Charlottesville is about. But if you can throw all that out, which you can't, you know what I'm saying? There is a vibrancy of what the community can be that is easy to like. And that's really what it's about in my opinion.
Okay. The best campus?
No. I don't know.
What is the best campus?
I don't know that I have an answer to that, though, but I know that I find myself on this college campus more than I do most.
I know, so it's probably sneaky good.
Yeah, you know.
My answer is no, because it's not a campus, it's the grounds.
Go ahead, boy!
Wow. Wow.
I just did it for the sake of the show.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? That's good. That's good. That's one where on the show, it's like no matter how long I talk, saying something funny, you get the point. You know what I mean? It's one of those.
All right. Recently, hockey player Matt Duchene lost a finger while playing hockey. Buy or sell, hockey is the toughest sport, starting with Chris.
I'm selling it, okay? I'm selling it because I'm laughing in Ronnie Lott right now. Ronnie Lott cut his finger off.
Right.
He did it himself, for all I know, with a pair of cuticle scissors. That's the kind of guy he was. This guy didn't even know his finger was severed until he took his glove off. How much could it actually hurt? You know, and every time a hockey player gets hurt, loses a tooth, you don't need a tooth for anything, really. You know, they make a big deal about it. It's not a fucking big deal. It's a small deal.
Hockey players probably play the hardest game with the highest rate of potential, how do I say this? I don't want to say non-contact injury, but like dudes get their throat slit sometimes by skates, and that's disgusting.
It's definitely the most sharp object.
Yeah, you know, there's the randomness factor, but also sometimes guys don't get up off of football fields too. So no, it's definitely.
They
not
also
the
wear the most pads. Okay, on the low. I know they want to be these big tough guys, but they wear the most pads. They're head to toe, skate to helmet.
Yeah,
pads. You know,
hockey guys are tough guys. I used to live with hockey guys in college.
Yeah,
but
NBA players wear more pads on their legs than an NFL DB now.
Right. All right. So in the final round right now, it's 1-1. Clinton won the UVA take. Chris won the hockey take.
Okay. All right.
I don't like the UVA terminology.
That's fine.
Either.
Okay. Thank you.
Last question here to decide the winner.
Can I tell you something? I did not realize we were keeping score the entire game until right now.
Yeah, well,
I was not
turn it on.
We were actually playing. But
Time to turn it on.
After a successful regular season game in Germany this year, there's a lot of speculation about the NFL possibly expanding overseas. Do you think the NFL should expand or expand overseas?
I think the NFL expanding is a better idea than the NFL expanding overseas. The players' bodies are already too taxed. The seasons are too long. Using transatlantic flights as a way to gain popularity for something is not sensible to me. If you want to build a league in Europe, build a league in Europe. In the meantime, stick to the continental whatever, because it just makes more sense from a quality of play and a player safety standpoint.
Chris?
So I think it's a bad idea. I'm selling it for a number of reasons. Number one, what makes an NFL game viable to the consumer? It is quarterbacks. And right now, we can't fill enough chairs to make every NFL game exciting. And so you add another 8, 4, 6 teams in Europe. Where are these quarterbacks coming from? That's number one. Number two, it's going to hurt you in free agency, because I can tell you guys aren't going to want to move to Munich to play football if the Jacksonville Jaguars offer more money. Now, the Jaguars could be in Munich.
You don't want to show up in Nice, France? You know, that's not for you.
Well, I mean, like maybe France, the way you're describing France. But and lastly, I think it hasn't been proven out that European fan bases have the stamina to do it every week. They really do show out. They host great games. I've played in these games, and they're rabid fans. But can they do that when teams are 4-12? Can they do that when teams are 4-13?
You wouldn't know that, so
yeah.
I don't think it's logistically.
Whoa!
I would know that. Yeah, that's true. I would know 2-14. Oh no, 1-15.
I don't think it's logistically possible to play overseas. I think you have to be playing over green grass.
Oh my God!
Sorry,
get out.
Down. Not getting out.
Okay.
I couldn't do it.
That's good. Well, he's technically eliminated, so it's like it
Clinton
didn't
Yates, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh my God!
Appreciate it.
Yeah, congrats,
First
man.
ever winner of a round.
Congrats. You came down to the preschool and beat up on a bunch of preschoolers.
Wow.
You're the guy trying to play softball against farmers.
I know,
Okay,
it's true.
so
And you know electricians.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
It's been great to be here, man.
30
It's really
seconds
fun.
to say whatever you want.
Okay. It's been a good time to be here. Like I said, Chris, you're one of the best guys that does it, and I like the fact that you're actually a very real human being. I'm serious. You know, when we met in a parking lot drinking at homecoming, you never know. You know what I mean? You see somebody on the internet, and he gave me his number, asked me to hang out. I was like, sure, whatever. Yeah. No chance. See Long.
We got fucked up.
Out, and sure enough, we did. So, you know what I mean? It's been a good time.
Back at you, bro.
And you owe me an interview. So that's
I'm coming on.
That's the trade-off.
Home.
That's the trade-off I'll take.
Around the corn. You can use that.
Yeah. I will. Yes.
Thanks a lot, everybody. We're on a 95.5-hour break.
Well played.
Nice.
Wow, y'all really did this. Okay.
Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.